Hi guys, Marty McConnell here, the Off-Grid Gecko, and today I'm going to be talking to you about shit hit the fan survival sewing. I live out in the woods, so when my clothes get a little torn up, I'm not going to go buy a brand new pair of jeans so that I can run out into the woods with them and tear them up. Looking good's not necessarily my primary priority. However, if you get good at this, you will find that you can sew up all kinds of things and you can mend your clothes and make them go a lot longer. What do you need to sew? You need thread, you need needles. I put my needles on this little piece of denim here so that they're all lined up, and I've probably got like 20 or 30 of them on here. That's it. So forget the sewing kits, forget the Walgreens special. Like, don't buy any of those little crap emergency sewing kits at the store. Just don't buy them. Okay. They are terrible. Why are they terrible? Number one, the thread sucks. All right. This is a type of regular thread. This is actually probably better quality than the stuff you're going to see in those sewing kits. I'm going to show you a little something about this thread here real quick. You take it, and this is just regular cotton thread, and you break it. It falls right apart. Not necessarily the best thing you want when you're trying to hold two pieces of fabric together. If you don't know what to buy, and you have no idea, and you go to the store and you just look at the thread rack and you're like, I don't know what to get. This is button thread. It's very, very simple. It's sold pretty much everywhere, and it's marketed as button and craft thread. Pretty stout stuff. This is a decent quality thread that you can get for not a whole lot of money. I think this little spool here costs like a couple bucks. If you want something a little heavier duty, bonded nylon or bonded polyester. I use bonded polyester because a lot of my work clothes get repaired, and this holds up better to chemicals. Nylon is actually a lot stronger than this is, but even this, it just doesn't break easily at all. I was hoping I could break a piece for you, but I can't. This is pretty tough stuff. It's really, really stout, and I like using this for heavy duty repair jobs on denim. Get one of the thinner varieties. Don't go for the absolute strongest that you can find, because you want something that's going to thread through a needle. When it comes to needles, don't go cheap on your needles. Remember, you're not buying a sewing kit, so you're not buying a bunch of extra crap. You can afford to get a decent pack of needles. Sharps and darners are your friends, okay? Sharps is probably the most standard needle type there is. They come in several different sizes, and it's basically your run-of-the-mill, absolutely ordinary, common, everyday needle. Nothing particularly special about them. They just work. So the first type of repair we're going to do is for these big holes that you get in your knees. Patching this would obviously work better, but if you just need to close a hole real quick before it gets bigger, before it turns into this, you know, while the hole is small, you can go ahead and stitch it up, and it'll hold together a little better for you. Just extend the life of your clothes a little bit. So what you want to do is take your little needle, and you want to get you a piece of thread. Alright, so when you're cutting your thread, you're inclined to take your knife and just snap it, right? That's going to cause it to fray. The best thing to do is have something hard to cut this against, and since I don't have anything else readily available, I'm going to use the lid for my sewing kit, a little peanut jar lid, and I'm just going to slice off a piece like that with my knife, and I'm going to try not to disturb this end too much until I get it through the needle. Let's go ahead and lubricate it a little bit. Just basically lick it. Put it in your mouth, pull it out, you're ready to go. And the technique that I like to use is to pinch this between my fingers like this and pull it back till there's about 1/4 of an inch just sticking out, or less. You know, we go 1/8 of an inch even. And you want to take your needle and you want to hang the needle on the thread. This is the part that people miss all the time. They think you gotta push the thread through the needle. You're hanging the needle on the thread, and then you can kind of roll your fingers and grab the other end of the thread and just pull it through, and it's in there. Easy peasy, right? Okay, so your first basic stitch that you want to learn is the easiest stitch in the world. You're just going to take your two ends of fabric and hold them together like this. Okay, you're going to take the needle, push it through both pieces of fabric. Basically just take this and you want to tie a little knot on the end here and tie it together. So you're making like a little suture on the end. You can tie a double knot too, which will hold better. We don't have time for that though. So I'm going to push the needle through. I'm going to go about 1/8 of an inch with each pass. I'm going to go from the top to the bottom, or from the left to the right, or however you want to qualify this every time. I'm going to try and make sure that the thread stays on top where it's coming straight down like this. And you're just basically going to repeat this process. So you're going to run all the way down your wound channel on your clothes and just repeat that stitch until you get to the end. You may have noticed I'm working on the inside of the clothes versus the outside of the clothes, because it just makes for a cleaner wrap up when you're done. You know, all these little ravelly bits are on the inside, and the thread going around that will help hold all these loose little fibers together. And then we've got it closed up, and when you're ready, when you're done, you get to the end, you just pull your thread through, and you don't pull it all the way through this time. You pull it just enough. You leave a little loop here on the end, go through the loop, pull it tight, and then if you want to get a really good knot on it, you can just go right underneath the thread and do that again, and that'll make sort of like a little double knot. Clip the thread, and you're done, and you're good to go. Now if we turn this back outside in, you can see you get a fairly clean line running down your stitch. Like I said, this is kind of like a shit hit the fan type thing, but it can also be used for thrifty people, or just to make your equipment or your clothing go a little longer. So if you want a basic sewing kit for your bug out bag or your get home bag or whatever, to, you know, if there's any chance that you're gonna like encounter this situation, you want to have something to be able to patch up your equipment, because you start out with a little rip like this, and then the first time you snag on something, that rip just splits open, and all of a sudden you went from a slightly damaged pair of jeans to rags that are letting in rain and wind, and if it's cold and it sucks and it's snowing, then everything's going to go right down into your boot. I think everybody can find their own uses for this, so I don't need to extrapolate on that. But buy some good needles, buy some good threads. Now, if you're going to be doing more extensive repairs, this is a seam ripper. This is basically if you're trying to sew seams together neatly and you've got something where it's just easier to break the seam apart and then put it back together than it is to try and patch up around whatever you're looking at. This guy comes in handy, because this little plastic bead on here will stop this from ripping the fabric, while the cutting edge, which is inside of the crescent, will actually snip the little threads as you work this up through. So it may look like a useless plastic piece of junk, but these things actually come in handy quite often. Beeswax will help you to, it'll help your thread kind of stick together, give it a little bit of a waterproof quality, lubricate it so that it sews easier, that kind of thing. Good stuff to have on you as well. A quality pair of scissors makes do in place of a knife, and with that you've got pretty much everything you need without the downsides of the sewing kit, which is made from all basically the cheapest stuff that they can find and throw together. So when you see a sewing kit, how are they advertised? Think about that. They're talking about how many colors of thread they have in the thing, you know, like, oh, 18 million different colors of thread. Well, what difference does it make if it's all shit thread, and what difference does it make if you're just trying to patch something real quick? Like, start small, start with one spool of thread. Button thread's easy, or any thread off the good shelf. A thimble is generally a good thing to have. This will help you push your needle through thick fabric without damaging your finger too badly. And that's it. And you can get some buttons, and you know, they sell assortment button packs, and usually my clothes all come with buttons, and I stash them in a pocket somewhere and then I lose them forever. But all this kind of stuff, like, you'll start to amass a collection. You can also take fabric from old jeans or other clothes before you throw them away and cut these little sections out of them, and you can toss this in your kit for patches. So if you need to cover, if the hole's like abraded instead of being an actual rip, it's just the material's worn down. You can cover it up with a patch and just use that little loopty, all that stitch all the way around the edge of this, secure it in place, and you're good to go. You've got a patch on your stuff. So really, really easy, simple, yet somewhat sophisticated. That's all you really need to know when you're getting started off. I mean, if you want to learn more advanced techniques and better sewing methodology, like, that's up to you. But at this point, you should have the knowledge to not be intimidated by it. Just, if you've got a shirt that's got a hole in it, go and buy a needle. Just get a pack of sharps that are various sizes. Get a spool of button thread and go at it. Give it a shot. You're just going to throw the thing away anyways. It's worth a shot. Am I right? So that's all you need to know, and that's all the time I have for you today. So stay safe out there, and this is Off Grid Gecko signing off. Oh yeah, if you have any more questions about sewing, just drop them in a comment below. I'll help you where I can. I'm not an expert seamstress, but any information that I can give you to help, I will definitely try to do that. So just leave me a comment. Thanks. Bye.